Okay, we're good. I think we might be cleared for a landing. All right, let's see if we can pull it off. Salutations, my friends, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of Factions of Freedom. I'm your host, Noise Era, Freedom Faction, whichever one you prefer, and this is show number 1609, season 16, episode 9. And I have titled this episode, The Woke Experiment, Synthetic Immortality, and Artemis II. Yeah, it's kind of really crazy when you think about the speed at which things are happening, the acceleration of humanity, and what that really portends for the future, right? It's like as we have all this information coming out about, Jeffrey Epstein, we're going to war with Iran, we're talking about energy emergencies. All of a sudden, we're shooting people off into space. All of a sudden, we're getting prepared for another trip around the moon, something we haven't been able to do since the 50s. Now, I watched it, to be 1,000% honest with you guys, and I can't lie. My mind was like, oh man, flat Earth. I see it going up. 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 Where's it going? What's going on? Is it flat Earth, right? Did they break the firmament, the Van Allen radiation belt, right? Pretty interesting days that we have ahead of us, that's for sure. And as we are shooting up rockets into the sky, we have people like Representative Matt Gaetz, ex-Congressman Matt Gaetz, saying that he was briefed about a secret U.S. Army program crossbreeding aliens with humans. I kid you not. It's going to be a very crazy, and if anything, short and compact episode, right? We're going to be primarily pulling posts and things from our Instagram. And I think it's very interesting that we talk about this because as we are broadcasting, they've suspended our Twitter account that we've had since 2015. How crazy is that? We are currently in the appeal process, and we've had to go back and create a whole new account called The Noise Era. It's kind of crazy that it really is that simple to just, start a whole new thing and pick up where we left off. But we have a whole lot of different things to get into with you guys as far as news-wise. We've got Cory Booker admitting that the Democrats failed, calling for new leadership. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink saying that the woke era was a failed experiment. This is after we see the weekend-long protests from the No Kings. We've also got information about that, as well as all this other crazy stuff popping off. A UN diplomat resigning from his position, accusing them of preparing to use nuclear weapons. We've also got a company pitching basically cloned human bodies to transfer your brain into. This is all coming out as we've got Google releasing Tribe 2, which predicts how the human brain responds to sight and sounds. A new report has come out about how 1 in 8 UK children are reported as disabled. I wonder what from. I honestly wonder what from. Going into last weekend, we heard J.D. Vance talk about how he thinks that aliens are demons. We're going to be talking about that as well. And it's just a whole range of news. a whole range of news, which we welcome over here on the show, that we're going to be talking about with you beautiful people. So yeah, it's going to be very short, very concise. We're not all over the place. We're not being a schizo over there on Twitter. We are primarily trying to cover content on our Instagram so we can create that kind of feedback loop. But again, if you guys want to go ahead and support us, the best way to do so is to go to patreon.com/noise. Patreon.com/NOIZCE. That's the best way to support us in this current configuration. Patreon.com/noise. We've been doing a lot of different things behind the scenes, I'll tell you that. And it's weird. It's almost like the technocrats can hear me talking about wanting to do a whole new show. It's like they can see what I'm doing in the background. It's like they're reading the code or reading the metadata, and they know what I'm up to. And I'm alluding to what I'm up to, so it's not really that much of a secret. But patreon.com/NOIZCE. That's the best way to support us. We're going to be building a shop. We're going to be building a whole new website. We're going to be doing a whole new approach. And I think that's like the easiest way to look at it is like I look at these kids, I look at the operations now, I look at what podcasting is, and you guys hear me theorizing about it on the show, but it's completely different, right? And I used to call it podcastivism, but that's what it is. It's so much different. We call it journalism, podcastivism, truth-seeking, content creation. It's somewhere along that lines. And it wasn't always about money, I'll tell you that. But because we've now found ourselves in this weird flywheel feedback loop where if you do outrageous things, you make more money, which increases people to do more outrageous things. It's crazy. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build like an actual operation. It was weird, man. Like I looked up how to do a nonprofit earlier today, just like how to get that set up. I don't know. There's all kinds of different things that I'm up to over here. Patreon.com/NOIZCE. That's the best way to support us in this current configuration. Speaking of configurations, I told you guys earlier too that unfortunately we're doing all this while we have a discontinued or suspended Instagram account. I'm trying to pull up the backup account that we made literally right before the show. We have no followers. I haven't even followed it myself. I would highly recommend you guys go do so. _noise era. We're to be broadcasting from there because look, here's what happens if you go to x.com/freedoms faction. It says that this account is suspended. So it's good we get this on the record. It's good that we get this on the air. It's crazy because I literally just paid for premium the other week, and now I'm battling with these people, and this is the stuff that's going on live time. This is why I need you guys' support. Patreon.com/NOIZCE. That's the best way to support us in this current configuration. We're clearly going to be doing more. We've got 16 seasons of fighting these people, and we have so much more ahead of us. But without me belaboring the point and spamming that, let's go ahead and start jumping into the content. Let's go ahead and start jumping into the intro and the honorable mentions. Check this out again. We're picking up stuff that carried over from last week. But look at this. Declassified documents expose the CIA's plot to weaponize weather modification. This comes from Frank Bergman of Slate News. They put this up March 27th. Happy April. Here's the document talking about weather modification. It says explosive declassified documents have revealed that the CIA has been experimenting with geoengineering for decades with the intention of weaponizing, quote, weather modification. The newly resurfaced files are reigniting controversy over long-running claims that U.S. intelligence agencies explored manipulating the weather. Although the resurfaced documents do not mention the specific classified or specific chemicals used in the experiments, they did discuss the need for funding of the weather modification projects that would soon be used as a weapon of war. Let me pause right there. We now know that it's aluminum, barium, strontium, iodides, things like that. They even now drop bacteria on people. And you have to think about this too, because just the other week, whenever Donald Trump said, hey, I'm going to have the pleasure of taking Cuba, they got hit with earthquake weapons that knocked out their power. And if you pay attention to what we talked about very heavily in previous seasons, specifically season 15, we started every single intro of the show with the world of shines, showing the devastating and anomalous weather that was taking place and how this could jack up people's environments, and indeed how they can be seen as weather weapons, weapons of war. Moving forward, it is now raising fresh questions about how far those efforts went and whether the public has ever been told the full story. The files were originally declassified in 2003, but date back to 1965. They detail internal discussions about, quote, weather modification programs, including efforts to influence storms, rainfall, and atmospheric conditions. The revelations appear to confirm that powerful government agencies have long pursued technologies capable of reshaping the environment on a massive scale. The documents outline a period when U.S. government officials were aggressively pursuing weather-related technologies, in part to compete with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Funding for these programs were expected to surge dramatically, with memos indicating federal investment would quadruple by 1967. That year, or that same year, the U.S. government expanded weather modification efforts during the Vietnam War through a project known as Project Popeye, which aimed to extend monsoon seasons and disrupt enemy supply routes. Earlier efforts, such as Project Storm Fury, involved flying aircraft directly into hurricanes and dispersing substances like silver iodide in an attempt to weaken the storms. Yeah, so we're dealing with people that have the ability to control the environment, control our environment, and not just what we see on the television, not what we think is news, right? What they inject in us as culture, but how they can actually manipulate the environment. And the more that I do this type of research, we talked last year about Augustus Dorico, the CEO from that one weather engineering company who went out and did like a whole tour circuit saying, hey, we're not manipulating the weather like you're seeing in the documents coming out, but we manipulate the weather in a completely different way, advocating for it, essentially. The more that I do this, the more that I see like how it's all interconnected. Like are they currently are they spraying all these things so that they can control the environment to masquerade what we think of as harmonious environment? Are they trying to cover up for the pole shift is what I'm trying to allude to. That's what I can see taking place in the very near future. I think that's the geophysical event that these people are preparing for whenever there's a rapid and sudden pole shift that just messes up everything around us. And I think that's just what's happening right now. I think they've been clearly weaponizing the weather for years. We've been talking about that throughout all of season 15 and up until this point. But I think it has an even deeper meaning. And I think that's what I'm alluding to, is that they've been trying to cover up our conditions because something crazier is going to happen. There's going to be a time whenever the environment just switches and things change, and it's never going to be the same anymore. And I don't mean that like in a disastrous or like catastrophic way. I'm simply saying that like you're going to see megafauna, you're going to see megaflora, bigger plants, bigger animals. You're going to see things change. It's not going to happen like very rapidly, but it will, in terms of how this all works. And that's what I think climate change is in a larger degree. I think it's us going through this pole shift and things suddenly changing. But the CIA, these, three-letter agencies, these government agencies, they've had the ability to manipulate the weather for years. But I think it's something much deeper than that. Much, much deeper. Like this right here, check this out. The second Sphinx was buried under sand, and it suggests that there's a megastructure below the Pyramid of Giza. Remember just last year, whenever they found all those, that entire compartment underneath the pyramids, That's what I'm trying to allude to by us going through these pole shifts, going through these geophysical events, these floods, these mud floods, these things that happen because it's evidence of just of the environment changing. Geoengineering. I think that's what we call it today. It's how we, implant human civilizations in certain areas. But prior to that, I don't think, civilization existed the way that it always did. I think that we have these different cycles that we go through. I talked about this just last week. That's why you see these people again getting prepared. And I've got a video clip of that coming up this week. Donald Trump talking about that, how they're creating, a military base, a deep underground military base underneath the White House. So it's becoming more and more obvious and evident that we don't need to be looking off into the stars or what we think of as aliens and Galaxy 9. All of the real history is buried underneath us, like this mega structure that they found underneath the pyramids of Giza. This comes from the Liberty Daily. It's by Cactus Williams from the Discern Report. They put this up March 27th. It says that the Pyramid of Giza might only be the tip of the iceberg. Italian researchers claim that they found signs of a sphinx located beneath the pyramids of Giza, suggesting the existence of a sprawling subterranean citadel. Radar engineer Filippo Biondi dropped this alleged historical bombshell during a recent episode of the, quote, Matt BL Limitless podcast, the Daily Mail reported. He said that, quote, there is something very huge that we are measuring beneath the Giza Plateau, which features the Great Pyramid of Khufu, the Pyramid of Khafre, the Pyramid of Menakri, and the Great Sphinx. He and his team said they were tipped off to the alleged underground guardian by explaining that lines between the pyramids to the known Sphinx also point to a parallel mound under which the second feline facsimile supposedly resides, like the cryptic puzzle from a, quote, Indiana Jones movie. Satellite images of the Giza Plateau have reportedly captured this dune, which the signal processing researcher claims measures approximately 108 feet tall. Quote, the first Sphinx sits slightly below the surrounding surface in a shallow depression, so it is possible the second Sphinx could be hidden beneath this higher mound, he said. He noted that this mound was made of hardened sand that would facilitate its existence rather than an impenetrable bedrock as well. Biondi said that the, quote, precise geometrical correlation between the visible structures and this mysterious dune has made him about 80% confident of his theory. The researcher also referenced the fact that the dream stele, a granite slab sitting in front of the Sphinx, number one, is carved with a pair of the mythical cats, suggesting that there were always supposed to be a second sculpture. And let's pause right here. We are in 2026. We've got war breaking out. They're talking about how another strain of COVID is beginning to spread all of a sudden. And we're just now discovering that there's a second Sphinx buried underneath the sand. But what else is buried underneath the sand? What else is buried in our ancient history that we've just glossed over, that we've just chemtrailed over, that we've just earthquake weaponed over, that we've just flood weaponed over? You see, this is the type of stuff that I'm talking about. So when I go on my rants about, a geophysical event, an extinction level event, the elites are getting prepared for it. They're all rushing away, getting prepared for something. They all know something's up. They won't tell us, but they're looking at the charts. They're looking at the information. They're reading the signs. They're looking at the skies. They're studying the ancient material, and they're getting prepared. They're getting bunkers. They're going underground. Elon Musk, the man that everybody knows, he has an underground tunnel boring company called the Boring Company. That's what he does. And if you guys want a real rabbit hole to go down, go look into Shilaga, what Chicago was called before it was called Chicago. Go look into the history of America prior to it being America. The civilizations that were here, the global civilization that existed prior to this, and how they've erased this type of history. So I see something like this come out, that we've got a second Sphinx underneath the pyramids of Giza, Well, I think, well, what else is underneath the pyramids of Giza? What else is underneath the sand? What else is underneath the desert? That's why when you go look into like UFOs and that type of research about God Vita, it talks about how the Vimana, these aircrafts, right? How they are still stored in places like Mount Shasta and other places as like UFO parking lots, because this is advanced technology from ancient civilizations. And here we are trying to pick it up, trying to make it make sense. But again, what I find so interesting is that as we move deeper into this war, we're going to see more of a resurgence of technology come out, more and more advanced technology being rediscovered or rolled out to that effect. You see, this is all a part of the greater shift, the Great Reset, the socioeconomic reformation. That's what this is all about. Changing people's perceptions on how they see energy, on how they see existence, how they see the earth. That's why this whole oil and gas thing is a whole separate thing. But jumping back over here to this, where we're staying stuck on this second Sphinx buried underneath the sand, what type of technology is underneath there? How long has it been there? Has it been raided? Does it connect to any other mega structures underneath us? You see, let's read a little bit more and then we'll proceed forward to this clip of Donald Trump talking about how they're creating not a mega structure, but some type of underground facility in the White House, underneath the White House. It says the hieroglyphics reportedly describe how the Sphinx was a deity that appeared to a young prince, Thutmose IV, as he slept inside its shade, promised him the Egyptian throne in exchange for clearing off the sand that had entombed it. To get to the bottom of the matter, team scanned the ground beneath the, quote, first Sphinx, all the pyramids, the conjunction between the Sphinx and the Khafre Pyramid, the second largest of the Giza Plateau. He claimed they found, quote, vertical shafts, horizontal passages that pointed to a, quote, underground megastructure. The lowest shaft had tunnels that branched outward, per the researcher. These reportedly mirrored a network of shafts and passages beneath the above-ground Sphinx, illustrating a, quote, incredible symmetry. Coincidentally, Biondi is not the only researcher to claim the existence of a second Sphinx. Egyptologist Bassan el-Shama first raised the theory more than a decade ago, citing ancient Egyptian records and mythology that describes a lightning bolt striking the Sphinx. He postulated that this image could allude to the second monument that was destroyed after being cursed by a powerful Egyptian god. In 2021, Egyptian tourism official Reda Abdel Halim told local media that they had not only found a second Sphinx, but that it measured 246 feet high, with a head 67 feet high and hands extended over 50 feet, similar to its visible counterpart. Egypt's former Minister of Antiquities, Zahi Hawass, has thrown cold water on such theories, arguing that extensive excavations of the area have yielded nothing. Biondi stressed the need to, quote, study the phenomenon more carefully. Quote, we are still analyzing the data, said the engineer, who is currently awaiting permission from the Egyptian authorities to dissect them out. Yeah, they know something's under there, but it's not quite yet time to reveal the technology, right? It's not quite time for people to understand the mysteries of the Sphinx, the ancient Egyptian mysteries, and what's hidden underneath their feet. Here's Donald Trump talking about a massive complex that's being planned underneath the White House ballroom.
A view of the columns as they are going to be made. They're going to be hand carved and they're beautiful. Top of the line, they'll be Corinthian, which is considered the best, most beautiful by far. Okay?
What's your timeline on this thing?
Timeline, so we're ahead of schedule and under budget. And all of this money, all of the money paid are paid by myself and donors, and it's all donors. There's not one dime of government money going into the ballroom. Now the military is building a big complex under the ballroom, which has come out recently because of a stupid lawsuit that was filed. But the military is building a massive complex under the ballroom, and that's under construction, and we're doing very well. So we're ahead of schedule. It's part of it. The ballroom essentially becomes a shed for what's being built under the military, including from drones and including from any other thing. The glass on the windows, you see the big windows, the glass is extremely thick. It's high-grade bulletproof glass. So all of the windows are bulletproof. I think the Times wrote, gee, some of the windows are fake. We have no fake windows. They talked about a stairway in the south. We don't have a stairway in the south. That was replaced a long time ago. But this is a view of it from the north, and that's, if you see it, it fits in with the White House. It's almost a twin to the White House. It's something we just wanted to pay tribute to the White House. And so that fits in beautifully. Let me just see another one. Here's another one. Wait, excuse me, wait. I thought I'd do this now because it's easier. I'm so busy that I don't have time to do this. But I'm fighting wars and other things. But this is very important because this is going to be with us for a long time, and it's going to be, I think it'll be the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world. It's the highest level. Same height, exact height, if not higher, same height as the White House, exactly the same height. And if you look, you have the White House over here, you have this, and that's a duplicate of the wall. So it pays total homage to the White House, which is, I think, very important. This is a view of the columns as they...
So spiral staircases underneath the Great Sphinx in the pyramids of Giza. And then now we're talking about big white columns connecting the White House. Again, I just think it's crazy that we're talking about massive complexes underground whenever that's been like a theme so far this season. And it's a carryover of what we've been discussing, a pickup of what people like Catherine Austin Fitts have talked about, looking into the research of this, saying that they have at least over 170 different deep underground military bases. It says that President Donald Trump has said that the military is in the process of building a, quote, massive complex under the planned White House ballroom. He added that the complex will have bulletproof glass as well as other security features. Quote, now the military is building a big complex under the ballroom, which has come out recently because of a stupid lawsuit that was filed and because of you talking about this. I don't think anybody knew about this until Donald Trump opened up his mouth and started talking about it. But the military is building a massive complex under the ballroom, and that's under construction, and we're doing very well, he added. We have bulletproof glass, we have drone-proof roofs, ceilings. Unfortunately, we're living in an age when that's a good thing. Last week, the president has indicated that the new ballroom would have had a national security aspect to it that was, quote, supposed to be secret. Quote, now it's no secret the military wanted it more than anybody, Trump said at the time in a cabinet meeting while discussing the ballroom plans. Quote, it was supposed to be a secret, but it became unsecret because of people that are really unpatriotic saying things. Says last year, corporate media organizations slammed the White House when the east wing of the building went under construction. The remodeling involved stripping the building down to its core structural components in order to remodel the wing with the ballroom. I think you guys get the picture there. So this wasn't supposed to come out, but it now is out. And it's in total alignment, again, with everything we've been saying regarding deep underground military bases, what the Trump administration is doing. I mean, like, he's moved people from his cabinet, Stephen Miller, Pam Bondi, some of their family members, they've been moved onto military bases. And that's why I keep saying the deep underground military bases aspect as he sits there and holds up the columns, as we talk about these spiral staircases that they're finding underneath the pyramids of Giza. Are you getting what I'm trying to talk about here? There's a connection. That is the connection. We're surface dwellers. You don't think that they know they're not necessarily trying to trigger prophecy, but doing crazy and chaotic things? Why would you want drone-proof roofs? Why would you want bulletproof glass? What are you building this in anticipation of? Low yield nuke, bombs, things of this nature, invasion, right? And again, why did our ancestors do it? I think they did it because of some type of, again, geophysical event, a pole shift, and they got prepared for this over time. Our generation, our timeline, they're just picking up the pieces and becoming even more chaotic with them. But while they're getting ready with deep underground military bases, they're telling you, get ready for energy lockdowns, energy restrictions. It's crazy how quickly we went from like, oh, okay, I don't support this war, to holy crap, inflation's killing us, to now we're talking about energy restrictions, energy lockdowns, and is this COVID 2.0? Here is a news report from CBS News Colorado talking about how restaurants in Colorado are serving only water if their guests asks. They're talking about adding restrictions because of all this stuff that's going on. Let's listen. Oh, come on. Maybe. Trying to get the volume to go up. Volume's not coming on. It's all good. We still got the report right here. We can just go ahead and we can just go ahead and read. You know, it is my podcast, and I know people probably want to hear. We were just teed up to have this go on. It says video has no audio. That's a lie. Anyway, restaurants in Colorado's capital are only allowed to serve water if they ask, according to a new restrictions by the Denver Board of Waters Commission. Quote, restaurants and catering businesses shall serve water only upon request. The mandatory irrigation restrictions read. It says the rules were issued in the Mile High City after the commissioners declared a stage 1 drought and has made plans to seek a 20% reduction in water use. City officials expect the drought conditions to last until April 30th. The update will affect many businesses, including the hospitality industry. Quote, lodging establishments shall not change sheets more often than every 4 days for guests staying more than one night, except for health or safety reasons or upon express requests of guests, the Denver Board of Water Commissioner stated. Let me pause right here because I'm reading this and part of me's thinking this is the austerity measures. These are the austerity measures. This is a part of, again, the energy lockdown, the COVID 2.0, the eco-environments, the eco-extremists, the austerity measures. You get less. That was the revelation I had earlier this week. When this whole war started, I said, okay, what are we going to lose? Like, what freedoms are we going to lose by going into this war? Like previous wars, we got the TSA, we got the Patriot Act, and it seems like with this war, because it's a completely different war, we're losing freedom of access. We're losing, you can't travel as much. You can't go as much. Your dollar's worth less. Our freedoms are what we're losing with this type of war. You see, and this is what it looks like. So it's kind of like COVID, but in a completely different way. Rationing people's care, accessibility, their freedoms. Since drivers who attempt to wash their cars are told to use a bucket or a handheld hose equipped with an automatic shut-off nozzle if they don't use a commercial car wash. Residents can water their grass only 2 days per week, according to the schedule provided by city officials, but it's prohibited between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. when the sun's up. It just goes on to list more and more of the ways that you're having your freedoms taken because of these lockdowns and what these people are, what we can expect them to do. And who knows? Colorado's a different situation. Might not be like that for everybody else. But this is the slow and incremental takeover. You see. Now, I know this video has audio. This video has audio. Here's proof the lockdowns are coming.
So many people did not believe me when I said we might go into a lockdown due to the situation in Iran, but now I've got proof. Check this out.
Is bringing state and territory leaders together again to finally find an answer to the fuel crisis. Some drastic measures similar to the days of COVID could be on the table as the government braces for a worst-case scenario.
Questions fly about fuel supply.
The anxiety levels are as high as I've seen, maybe with some even higher than COVID.
The further measures they will consider based on the International Energy Agency's plan, encouraging 3 days work from home, 10 kilometres per hour lower speed limits, encouraging public transport and carpooling, and odd and evens number plate days in cities.
We are on the 1 yard line of this whole situation. This is like February of 2020, right before we went into lockdowns in March when the whole COVID disaster happened. You need to be prepared. I would start stocking up on things before things start running out or going up in price to the point where they are unaffordable. Get ready.
Oh man, you know what's so crazy is I jumped straight into this and didn't even do our own plugging. I didn't even do like the plugging for Patreon. I was just, or My Patriot Supply or New Leaf Naturals or any of that type of stuff, or breaking down how we recovered our YouTube channels or any of that. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. I would highly recommend you guys go ahead and get food while you can at today's tastes, at today's rates, with today's pace. Because when you try to get it during a lockdown, it's going to be way too much hyperinflated. Right? It's like when this Iran war stuff started popping off, you should have gone to Costco. I went to Costco with family members. We split the bill. It was just crazy. Now they say they're putting the memberships up. It's wild how much we're being squeezed to death. Just simply trying to survive. Don't you think? But yeah, no, lockdowns are coming. And everybody can feel it. Everybody can see it. Like what I'll probably end up starting to do is just sitting here with my storable goods and my guns and stuff, and just doing private shows like that and talking with people. I don't know if I'm prepared. Because we still need to monitor the situation. We need to know what's going on. But they're getting White House ballrooms. They're discovering structures underneath the sphinxes. They're admitting that they poison the food, they poison the water, they poison the air. But they're telling you, you're going to have to work from home. You're going to have lower speed. You're going to have to use public transit. You're going to have to start carpooling. And all of this, too, is what we begin to see as a response to this Iran war. I should have put some more of the panic clips in here, but there are a few viral clips going around this past week of places in India not having gas. We covered with you guys just last week how Australia itself also doesn't have gas, petrol, and how that's going to that's going to spiral out. And that's why you're going to see drones and robots and other forms of like that type of automation come out, because it's going to be sustainable. The second, third order effects of what Donald Trump is doing is it can't be understated. Like, I don't have the words to explain it. You see, and that's why it's going to be used as a change engine, a trigger mechanism, so they can roll out this great reset. You see, that's why I'm like, I'm not for this war in any way, shape, and form, for what it's going to be used for and what its implications are. And the lives that are going to be lost as a result. And then, meanwhile, as this is all unfolding, check this out right here. Data centers causing a huge temperature spikes for miles around them, study suggests. So not only do you have to hear the hums of the data centers, but you have to have increased energy prices, increased temperature surrounding you. They lock you down. They build these data centers. Like, I think what I'm waiting on is the 10 cities that Donald Trump said he was going to begin to build, because this is all a part of the great restructuring and the great reset the great migration of humans, you see. That's why Elon Musk has his own smart city, right? But they're doing all these different things. They're telling you to look up here. They're building stuff down there. They're going to other countries. They're doing this and that. Let's read this quick article from End Times Headlines. They put this up April 1st. It says the data centers at the heart of the AI boom are producing so much heat that they are spiking land temperatures for miles around them by up to 16 degrees, new research suggests. It says that the effect is so pronounced that the researchers say they're creating entire, quote, heat islands. The findings, detailed in a study that's yet to be peer-reviewed, add to an already grim picture of the environmental impact of these sprawling facilities, the largest of which consume enough energy to power entire cities. Their commiserate greenhouse gas emissions, however, apparently aren't the only way the data centers are heating up the world around them. The researchers focused on roughly 84,000 so-called, quote, hyperscalers, the term used to describe data centers of incredible size that offer cloud computing and AI services. Their construction has surged in the past decade, and the AI boom has pushed for their demand and scope to new heights. Meta's new Hyperion data center, for example, cost $27 billion to build and has an expected computing capacity of 5 gigawatts, an appetite that takes 10 gas-powered plants to sate. Since temperature can't be affected by other environmental factors, the researchers examined data centers in more remote locations. When they mapped their locations against regional temperature data collected by satellites over the past 20 years, a clear pattern emerged. Land surface temperatures, meaning the heat of the ground itself, rather than the air or the climate, increased by an average of 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit after a data center went online in the area. And in the most extreme cases, the temperature surged by an extraordinary 16 degrees. The effects were local but far-reaching. The researchers found that the temperature increases were felt up to 6.2 miles away, though they dropped off with distance and all affecting more than 340 million people. So they're just going to jack up the prices, make things unaffordable, put power centers that are loud, noisy, overheat your area. It's like if you wanted to take over a planet, this is how you would do it. But again, these are the energy lockdowns. This is how they'll be able to monitor your social media activity, your real world activity through your bank accounts, your social media activity, all these different type of things, surveillance, what have you. Like I said, it was for cloud storage and all that. Energy lockdowns are coming. And check this out. Just last week, over 100,000 residents in California lost power on Thursday night. According to San Diego Gas and Electric, over 100,000 residents in San Diego and South Orange counties were left in the dark after a massive power outage. SDGE has not released the cause of the outage, and the incident is currently under investigation. It says that per ABC7, a massive power outage left tens of thousands of people without electricity Thursday night across South Orange County and parts of San Diego County. San Diego Gas and Electric reported that more than 100,000 customers were initially affected. Video taken near the Civic Center in Mission Viejo showed one of the areas impacted by the blackout. Other areas that were impacted included Laguna Hills and Laguna Niguel. The cause of the outage was not immediately known. It's, quote, "We understand how disruptive outages can be and are working to investigate the cause," said SDG&E in a statement. "The safety of our customers, employees, and communities remains our top priority." Now, that's, again, we're in a time frame where Cuba's having blackouts, Jamaica's having blackouts, California's having blackouts. We're coming into a time frame where they're like, oh, well, we don't know if we're going to have enough gas. We don't know if we're going to have enough resources. It's like they're preparing us, again, for this austerity measures. We've got an article coming up. Let me make sure I got it right here. We've got a video coming up a video coming up where New York City is proposing a law by the World Economic Forum that would require a blackout to be put in place to save the energy grid. So these people are talking about, oh, well, we don't know why this is happening. We don't know why this is happening. And at the same time, we're hearing about laws being drafted to put us on an energy grid so we can have mandatory blackouts to ration and save power. So you see how that works? You see how we went from, no, climate change is real, what's going on with geoengineering, to, well, now we're going to have laws that put in that you have to have mandatory shut-off time for your power grid. And so you're just going to start seeing these type of things taking place because they have to get the system into place. It's a part of the switch that needs to be flipped for the Great Reset. You need to have access to power, to the power grid. And this is what Klaus Schwab has infamously said in the past. A cyber attack that would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. So COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison. And that's what they're planning for right now with these energy lockdowns, the COVID 2.0. But, this area doesn't have enough gas. And what do you think the exodus is going to look like? The human migration is going to look like whenever places are rationing power, cycling power. And this is all what they talk about in Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. This is why I did the whole Building the Matrix docuseries, the autonomous society. This is what it sounds like as they build up and install this technocracy. You see? Let's go ahead and watch this clip talking about the Dark Skies Protection Act, where they put New York City on a blackout switch grid.
Trying to pass a new bill that some critics are calling a criminal's dream. It would force the businesses, residents, and iconic landmarks to go completely dark from 11 p.m. until 5 a.m. The goal is to save energy, avoid light pollution, help migratory birds. Not everyone is on board. One ex-user reacted to the legislation, writing, quote, "Criminal gangs approve this message."
Sure.
Yeah. Another writing, good, then criminals can maraud the populace under cover of darkness as intended. Gosh, who comes up with these ideas?
I have an idea of where this came from. Remember when he went to the prisons to visit with prisoners recently? The mayor did?
Yes.
I think he crowdsourced that idea over there. Because
Anybody got any good ideas? Yeah, if we could turn all the lights off and I could steal everything, that would be great.
That's what I think.
11 a.m. to 5 p.m. in New York City, lights off. And if this gets adopted in New York City, you can guarantee that this will be adopted in other parts of the country. What does it say right here? The goal is to save energy and preserve wildlife. It would require businesses, residents, and landmarks to power off from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Yeah, it's a criminal's delight. A climate change zealot's delight. And this is exactly what they want. It's a way for us to save power. It's a way for us to protect the environment. You see, you get put on an energy grid system. You get put on a timer. These people, they build massive complexes underneath the White House ballroom. Can you feel the Hunger Games moment creeping in? Can you feel the Hunger Games moment creeping in? Where you have, again, like look at the human migration aspect of this, cyclical cities where they charge power and they have it on and off. Places like that's crazy. But this goes in perfect alignment with the Smart Cities Initiative, with the 15-minute cities initiative, with the energy lockdowns. Exactly with what they would want for Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. Controlling humanity, social engineering us to this degree. God only knows what things would look like at night in New York City. God only knows what would happen to the country and the world if this began to become adopted. But you see, again, this is the narrative. You see, we grew up in a 24-hour society. It's awesome. Hearing cars go by, hearing honks, hearing life. They're wanting to do away with that natural human environment. Or if anything, they want to concentrate it, manipulate it. We're just code. We're just data that they can engineer, that they can modify. And make no mistake, that's what these megalomaniacs are doing. I got a final clip for this segment. Then we're going to hit a hard break. Ironically enough, it's from myself over here on Instagram, putting a compilation of the stories together, right? Trump confirming that they have this massive military complex being built underneath the White House. This story about the Kit Kat heist and how the economic damage caused by this war will stretch to the end of the decade, and shortages will go way beyond oil, gas, and fertilizer. Check this out.
Yo, 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 wake up. Wake the fuck up. They're telling you like what the plot is off the rip. They're telling you that, hey, guess what? You're most likely going to fucking war. But did you see that we got 12 tons full of Kit Kats for our deep underground military base where we're going to be watching your ass? Yep, you better believe it. That's what just got told to you in the past like 24 to 48 hours. We're out here kidnapping resources, things that you guys want and need. Meanwhile, I'm putting all my key personnel and all my favorite people in the deep underground military base. That's it. Y'all gonna have to fight it out up top, but not me and my folk. Nope. We're gonna be watching underground with Kit Kats as y'all fight it out. Yo.
Man, that guy's right. I tend to agree with this gentleman's response. I'm that gentleman, though. I am that gentleman, and that's what I got from reading the news, though. Is like, yeah, I know it was a completely different country. The Kit Kat heist, and we've got Donald Trump over here in America talking about the underground base that they're building. But these places, I keep alluding to the fact that they're connected underground, and that there was a civilization and still is a civilization underground. They're making these declarations and alluding to these type of things because something crazier is happening. And they're telling you to a weird degree, they're alluding to and telling you it's time to get prepared. Yeah, you're right. All this stuff is happening. What are you going to do about it? Because what's coming on the other side, they can't even stop. They don't have it. It's not in their power. They can't stop this geophysical event. They can't stop the awakening. They can't stop all these things, but they can try to come out on top. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing them try to position for the after effects and what happens on the other side. But speaking of what happens on the other side, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about the woke experiment. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink saying that the woke era was a failed experiment. The View co-hosts melting down because somebody said, hey, have more kids. You know how those witches and harpies are. You can't have people promoting prosperity, wealth, and decency. We've also got clips from the No Kings protests, the massive protest that took place in Boston. There was over 3,000 nationwide. And what's crazy is it didn't really get a whole lot of attention. And we also have to talk about what that means. We've also got this UN diplomat resigning from his position, accusing the UN of preparing to use nuclear weapons. We're going to be talking about the woke experiment, Trump accounts, No Kings, AOC, Cory Booker, all these crazy things and more on the other side. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. This is Freedom Faction over here on Factions of Freedom. And we'll be right back right after this.
The young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, half of this cabinet, are actually young noble leaders of the world economic forum. We penetrate the cabinets.
The change is not just happening. The change can be shaped by us. We have to prepare for a more angry world. How to prepare? Take the necessary action to create a fairer world. I see the need for a great reset.
So people assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen.
There is only one way this pandemic is going to go. It's going to get worse and worse and worse.
The next crisis is already waiting for us around the corner, and it is the climate crisis.
It's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, possible human immortality, appalling acts of brutality, genocide, because the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed. The good news is that as primates, we're incredibly adaptable, going to be tested to the limits. What they see going on is the breakdown of all tradition, all order. They're quite right that it's happening, but they're quite wrong to conclude that it should be resisted or is somehow evil. The mushroom said to me once, it said, this is what it's like when a species prepares to depart for the stars. You don't depart for the stars under calm and orderly conditions. It's a fire in a madhouse.
There is no such thing as its freedom. There is no such thing as democracy. Please stop listening to the mainstream media. Please stop listening to the Western world speaking about United Nations, human rights. This is evil. Nonsense. They have enslaved the human race under the banner of human rights. I beg you, they have enslaved the human being under the banner of human rights. There is no freedom in the world. The world is placed in the bosom of Satan, the killer of mankind. A snake, the poisonous cobra. Satan likes to do things in disguise, in quietness, in the depth. But the Lord forced him to surface up. He wants humanity to see. He's opening the eyes of those who are willing to listen to Christ. Those who are willing to listen to Christ, He is opening your eyes. What has been happening in recent years, it is absolute satanic. But all done in the name of human rights, democracy, United Nation.
And just like that, we're back. Not the smoothest transition, but we are still here. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this segment and edition of Factions of Freedom. I'm your host, Noise Era, Freedom Faction, whichever one you prefer. And I'm going to use this part of the show to plug. Because I didn't. I just jumped straight into it. I'm just going to do the proper intro and plug of the show. I just hard spammed and shilled patreon.com. But I didn't shill anything else. This is my time to tell you guys, hey, they suspended our Twitter account from 2015 just last week. We need you guys to go over here to the new one and subscribe to it. Follow it. I should have done that in between the break with with my Noise Era account and just followed that. I mean, like, it's crazy. We're still battling censorship. We're still trying to get the information out. It's crazy that Elon Musk says he's the platform of free speech, yet you have to pay to have larger reach, and it's just a mess, man. You know, again, this is why we're over there on Telegram, because we've been able to just have a backup. These things happen. We go through pages, we go through operations. You can still find like our YouTube channel or our Fedbook channel from like 2000 something or other, I think 2022, and it's got 2022 season 12. You can go look at it. It's like frozen in time. And so we've got all these different platforms because this type of crap happens. We just get like discontinued on the platform, and we have to get them all wired up, and it's a whole thing. But don't worry, we do it because we love the game. At @the_Noise Era, that's the page you guys should go follow. Like I said, we just got suspended over on Instagram or on Twitter. We've had that page from 2015. We're still trying to appeal it. If you guys want to support the operation, the best way to do so is to go to patreon.com/noise. We've got to update this little link over here because it goes to our old Twitter account, Freedom's Faction, and that's been destroyed. This is what happens, guys. Like, you put yourself out here, you get wrecked, you build things up, they take it down. It's a constant battle. Blog Talk Radio, this is where I go into the show part. Blog Talk Radio archived their content back in January of last year, and they took over 400 plus episodes, 500 plus episodes. We had to find a replacement. That's where Spreaker comes in. And now we're broadcasting on Spreaker, Google, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, Alexa, Podcast Addict, and every other major podcasting platform. We have over 500 plus episodes available. We're no Johnny come latelys or some Susie Suttons. We're not over here doing this every week trying to shake our tail feathers to get your attention. We methodically go through this type of stuff and experience a lot of crazy things. We have over the years. We were able to recover our YouTube channels from 2014, our Noise Era channel, as well as our backup. We'll be using both of those to do private shows, or if anything, member-only shows, which I think will be pretty cool. It'll be like tied into the Patreon type thing, because we'll be able to simulcast. Again, I'm always working on these different configurations, man, because these people, they're trying to stop us. We have our Odyssey channel from 2018. That's season 6. You guys can go back and go look at it. We're heavy grinding, man. You guys can find the updates for what we're doing, mostly inside of our Instagram, our Telegram. We have 2 of them. Our Discord, we kind of just joke around over there, not really being as active as we should. We need a larger audience. It's a big thing, man. A lot of moving parts go into this son of a gun, and we do it because we love the game. Like I said before, you guys see us posting over there on Instagram. I've got another video later on, not in this segment, but in the next, featuring some thoughts that I was able to capture this week. And maybe I'll do that more. That's why the episodes are going to be tighter moving forward, is because I'm really going to try to lock in on just Instagram and create that feedback loop where we have the social media audience, the podcast audience, and we're just communicating. Again, you guys can support everything we're doing through Rumble and YouTube memberships. I would highly recommend you guys to do so. I'm just saying there's all kinds of different ways you guys can support us, like hitting a like, a share, a retweet, getting it out there, Rumble memberships, YouTube memberships, Coffee, PayPal, Patreon, Cash App. It's like this is not a spectator sport. It truly is like an active participatory event. And when you think about like the compendium of work that we've done over the years, is definitely something you're going to want to you want to support. Like, go ahead, go find somebody else new, right? Guaranteed they've been a listener at one point in time or a follower. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm not bragging. This is me just saying, understand what we're doing here, that this isn't some joke. This isn't like every other random show. We're not doing this for the clickbait. If I wanted to be sensational, we definitely could be. We definitely could be. New Leaf Naturals, get yourself some New Leaf Naturals and some CBD oil. Now get yourself some storable goods. You heard us talk about this in the previous segment with the energy lockdowns that everybody's just facing. You need to be prepared. Who knows if your local Kroger, Albertsons, Piggly Wigglies, Smiths, what have you, wherever you're shopping at, your Aldi's, your Whole Foods, your Sprouts, who knows if that's the last shipment they're going to get for the next week or month. How much do you think food's going to be then? Get prepared while you can. Silently. You don't want to be you don't want to do all this. Don't make it a big thing. Right? Don't turn it into toilet paper, but get prepared. It's not going to be like COVID. It's going to be COVID 2.0. The lockdown is going to be way crazier. With that being said,